Dating for men, I think the biggest difference for men is that right now, in the world that we're living in, our culture discourages men to embrace their healthy masculinity. Men are confused. Men are confused. Should I hold the door? Should I not hold the door? Should I pay for dinner? Should I not pay for dinner? And I want to put the emphasis of healthy masculinity here, right? Part of the way that men can navigate that is start to really create a relationship with their masculinity and their femininity and understand who they want to be in the world and not allow our culture to dictate who they are.
Welcome to the Asian Dating Podcast. I'm your host, May Bugenhagen. I am the founder of Two Asian Matchmakers. I am a boutique matchmaking company that serves men who want to date Asian women all across the US or in Asia. And of course, this Asian Dating Podcast, we talk about dating, not just Asians, but everybody can use these dating tips. And today I have a very special guest. Her name is Sally. And Sally, with over 13 years of experience in personal coaching and business development and leadership, Sally believes that having great relationships is a learned skill and is passionate about teaching her clients how to learn to love better. She and her husband run a relationship coaching practice where they specialize in saving marriages. Knowing that the majority of our actions and thoughts are governed by our subconscious mind, Sally helps her clients hack into their subconscious to rewrite their belief system, which helps change their actions for good. So welcome to the show, Sally Maxwell. How are you?
Thank you, May. I am doing so well today. I'm actually traveling. I'm staring out at the Pacific Ocean, and I'm so happy to be here with you.
Excellent, excellent. I have not interviewed a lot of husband and wife teams who help other couples or help people individually. So tell me a little bit about how you and your husband got into this business and how you're thriving in it.
Well, we learned the importance of a relationship coach because we got one of our own in our early days. So my husband and I, our first kiss was 20 years ago, and we have been in an exclusive relationship for 15 years. And when we first started dating, we had all of the silly, stupid, in retrospect, but like silly, difficult, scary, heart-wrenching fights that people who are new together, newly dating have, right? And we didn't know how to navigate them, so we got a relationship coach. And what we learned is that a great relationship is actually a learned skill. It's learning a set of tools and strategies to learn how to communicate better, to learn how to take care of yourself in partnership in the relationship. And when we learned that, it completely changed my life. Because I believe that a relationship is the foundation of life. Like if your relationship, whether you're dating, whether you're newly dating, if your love life is off, it's the foundation for everything in your life. And then the rest of your life feels off. So it called me to become inspired to get trained in these tools and strategies and then teach people how to apply them to their own lives, whether they're single or in relationships, so that they can actually live fulfilling, nourishing, completely off the walls, joyful lives.
I love it. I love it. I love how you said that you guys kissed 20 years ago
Yeah.
and you're still thriving. You have two beautiful kids, you have a great partnership with your business, and of course, the relationship with your husband. Now, tell me, you're a relationship coach. Now, how do men and women differ in being in a relationship? Like, what are some key things that you've noticed in the years that you've been doing this?
So inside a relationship, men and women differ in the sense that all of us, male or female, or any, however you identify, we fall on a spectrum of a masculine feminine energy spectrum. And this spectrum supersedes whether you identify as male, whether you identify as female. Like there are plenty of people who identify as male who have very feminine energy. There are plenty of people who identify as female who have very masculine energy. Understanding energy and feminine masculine energy And how to navigate through that and how they play together has been instrumental in how Zach, my husband, and I thrive, both as romantic partners and business partners, right? Because our business world is very different. The way that we interact, it's actually a masculine world. It's a directive container, right? We operate differently and we have different rules, if you will, for how to be partners in that domain than we do in our romantic partnerships.
Yeah, yeah. So, what is one of your biggest challenges in working with a man or a woman? Like, how do you find that it's easier to coach women in a relationship or coach men in a relationship? Like, what are your thoughts on that?
It truly doesn't matter.
Yeah.
In relationship coaching, I am coaching the person. And that person comes to me with their conditioning, with their past experiences, with their beliefs that are all perpetuating, in their case, a negative dynamic that's going on in their life.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter who I'm coaching, a male or a woman. I don't treat it the same because no one person is the same, but I don't have a preference of one or the other.
So, in your experience, what are the key qualities or characteristics that successful couples possess?
This is such a great question. And this question is actually a question that I went around asking everybody who I knew who was in an inspiring relationship. I asked them this before I got married. And both Zach and I did. We wanted to understand how to have a great marriage ourselves. So here's my answer. It's being willing to grow together. Being willing to grow together is, in my opinion, the key quality to having a successful relationship. The reason is because change is consistent. Change and growth is the one thing that's consistent in life. And there are times when I'm growing more than my husband, when my husband is growing more than I am. There are times when we're both stagnant. There's times when one of us is stagnant. But the key is learning how to go through these growth spurts and these moments of stagnancy together. And the way to do that is by learning how to have tricky conversations, by having the courage to talk about the things that scare you with your partner, by learning the tools and the strategies to navigate the things that you wouldn't necessarily want to talk about.
So, what are some examples?
Oh my gosh. Sex, money, whether or not you want to have kids or not, whether or not you want another kid. Your partner annoys you because they leave the coffee mugs in the sink and they don't put them in the dishwasher. The list goes on and on and on. I mean, think about it. Human beings are imperfect beings, and we're striving to better ourselves. That's evolution. So you put two imperfect beings in a partnership with one another, and it's the perfect storm for them to annoy each other. That's the nature of a relationship. Relationships are supposed to challenge us. So you're suddenly in a relationship with somebody who's you're annoyed by, and you have to learn how to talk about those things, not give yourself excuses for why you don't have time or why it's not the right time, or sweep them under the rug or try to swallow them. That's one of the main things that I work with my clients through, is teaching them this skill.
So, do you teach them how to communicate, like with the actual words? Do you do role playing
Yep.
with them? Like, what are some ways that if my husband's doing something that bothers me about the coffee mugs, not putting them in the kitchen sink or whatever, like, do you kind of have ways to guide your clients on how to talk to their spouses?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So I'll teach them frameworks. I have several frameworks of how to approach those conversations. But one hack that I think would be fun to share right now is this hack called the think it 3 times rule. Okay. So if you have a thought about something that your partner does that annoys you or irks you for whatever reason, like the coffee cup, right? If you think it once and you can get it resolved in your head on your own, fine. If you think it twice, and again, you can kind of resolve it in your head, okay, that's fine too. But if you think it 3 times, that's an indication that you're having trouble getting resolved on your own, and that you need to take this conversation to your partner. And when you employ this think it 3 times rule in a relationship, what it does is it removes the possibility of grievances to add up and accumulate, right? Because we all know when grievances accumulate, they create rifts in relationships that are sometimes insurmountable, unless, you work with a professional who helps you save your marriage. But they create real rifts. So think it 3 times. Okay, if I think something 3 times, I have to go talk to my husband about it. And then here's the magic formula for talking to your partner about it. The first thing you say is, hey, I'm sure it wasn't your intention to do this. That's so important.
Yeah.
And then you say, and when you left the coffee cup in the sink, it made me feel like you're cleaning, like you expect me to be your cleaning lady. Is any part of that true? Right? So when you say the first part, I'm sure this wasn't your intention, what you're doing is you're assuming the best of your partner. You're challenging yourself to see them through that lens, and you're letting them know that you're not coming at them with daggers. You're assuming the best. And then the second part is you're stating how that made you feel. And then you get to come up with a solution together.
So then what do you say? Then what would the third part be after you say those two parts to come up with a solution?
Well, you start negotiating together. You start negotiating on what the solution is. Perhaps it's, okay, yeah, let's have a family rule that we don't put anything in the dishwasher. Or let's have a family rule where we all agree we can throw everything into the sink during the day, and then we switch off every night who puts the things in the dishwasher at night, right? Let's have a family rule where we throw everything into the sink, and then we hire a cleaning person to come every 3 days. The possibilities are infinite for what you can negotiate, but the key principle here is you lovingly speak up after you think it 3 times, and then you open up a negotiation with your partner.
So when you say that first part that, hey, I know you didn't mean to do this, that kind
Yeah,
of diffuses the situation and not make them defensive, right? That first keyword, the first sentence
yeah.
you said.
It doesn't make your partner defensive, and then what it also challenges you to do, though, this is the important part, it challenges you to assume the best intention of your partner.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay.
Because part of what happens when we let things accumulate in our relationships is we actually start to view our partner through a negative lens. It's the law of confirmation bias, right? The law of confirmation bias states that if you see things, then you start to confirm future actions as that same thing. So if I see my husband leaving the coffee mug in the sink, then I perceive his future actions in a way that I feel like I'm his cleaning lady. Okay. I perceive his future actions like, let's say he doesn't make the bed in the morning. I then start to get annoyed about that. I then start to get annoyed and use that as evidence to be even more annoyed with him.
Right. Yeah, I can see that. So you're
Yeah.
saying if something bothers me for the third time, that I should nip it in the bud now and address it before it gets worse and escalates even more, and then resentment builds up and all that stuff.
You got it. The think it
Okay.
3 times rule is like taking your daily vitamins in a relationship.
Okay, I love that hack. I love that hack. Okay, okay, good one, good one. Let's see. How can individuals cultivate these qualities in their own lives? What we were talking about, like the key qualities or characteristics that successful couples possess. How can individuals cultivate these qualities in their own lives? What do you think?
Oh, the think it 3 times rule applies to dating too, as an individual. So if you're on a date, and let's say you're on date number 3, and you've had like this same thought about this person, maybe their table manners are really bad, or like maybe they swear a lot, or maybe their breath stinks, like whatever, right? Maybe they have these weird nose hairs that you just cannot get over, but you like everything else about them. If you think it 3 times, you're so think about this. If you think it 3 times and you do not say something, you're actually doing both of you a disservice, because you're not actually communicating your truth. And then on the flip side, you're not giving the person who you're dating the opportunity to respond to your truth.
Yeah, that's so true because if you're thinking it 3 times and then you're on the second or third date and you don't even address it, you just decide, I'm not gonna go out with him again. Like he didn't even have a chance to like explain it to you, or maybe it's some random reason why you thought this, or I feel like communication can really solve 99% of anything, right? Like just talk it through, talk it out, and just, but when we're young in our 20s or even 30s, we're not comfortable communicating stuff. We're not comfortable addressing things that bother us because we're trying to like be the better person or not be a complainer, or, but that's actually, like you said, a disservice if people don't bring it up and communicate about it. So whether you're in a relationship or you're dating, this rule applies, right? This little hack applies to all those situations. Yeah. Okay. Good.
In fact, this hack applies to any relationship that you have in your life.
Yeah. I agree.
Friendships, sisterhoods, dating, moms, dads, aunts, uncles, your lawnmower, like everything.
Okay. Okay. So how do you think dating is different for women and men? Like, what are the main differences between the two genders that you see from your experience?
Well, I think with women, there's the obvious biological clock difference, right? There's a if a woman wants to have a family, there really is a biological clock that she must manage, right? And when I say must manage, what I mean is manage the inevitable pressures of a biological clock without allowing it to make her desperate, right? And that is like walking a tightrope. It really is, because it requires a woman to deal with her fears in a very real way while simultaneously going for her dreams. It's like what all great stories are made of. It's like what all Disney stories are made of, right? You face your fears while simultaneously going for your dreams, and it's tricky, and I highly recommend doing it with a professional. I mean, that's why I do what I do. But that, I would say, that's the main thing for women. Dating for men, I think the biggest difference for men is that right now in the world that we're living in, our culture discourages men to embrace their healthy masculinity. Men are confused. Men are confused. Should I hold the door? Should I not hold the door? Should I pay for dinner? Should I not pay for dinner? And I want to put the emphasis of healthy masculinity here, right? So part of the way that men can navigate that is start to really create a relationship with their masculinity and their femininity, and understand who they want to be in the world, and not allow our culture to dictate who they are. So one of the books that we recommend to both our male and female clients, but I'm speaking directly to men right now, is a book called The Way of the Superior Man by David Data. He does, yeah,
Yeah.
he really does a superior job at giving men permission and the language to access their healthy masculinity. So
Like
I think that's the biggest challenge for men these days.
so you're saying for men who are dating, they should just pick a lane. Like either you're pulling the chair out for her and taking her out, inviting her out, paying on the first date, or not? I mean, is that kind of what you're asking them to do, is like decide who you want to be and just be it? Don't let society or your friends tell you what to do, or I mean, is that what you're saying? Like just go about doing what you feel like you should be as a masculine man.
That's somewhat of what I'm saying. I mean,
Okay.
it's like what I love that you're saying, May, essentially be true to yourself, pick a lane, make a choice, right?
Right.
But the problem is that men are confused. Men really don't know which one to choose, which one is better, which one is right, which one is going to get the woman to like them or not get the woman to like them, right? Like men are just confused. So I start with this book by David Data, The Way of the Superior Man, to help orient men in their masculinity. I think what it does is it really helps men get to their truth around which lane they want to be in. And then once they have a better understanding of themselves and their truth, then they can more powerfully choose which lane they want to be in and operate from that perspective, and therefore attract their ideal match.
So going back to the women and their biological clock, how do you suggest that they date knowing that there is a biological clock, but that they're still pursuing their career? Like, how do they divide all that time out and to have a balanced dating and career life?
Um, the reason I'm pausing is because it's such a nuanced answer that I could spend this whole podcast talking about. The quickest way to answer it is women are challenged with being as honest about their needs and desires as possible. Okay. So when women are managing and balancing the trajectory of their career, when women are managing their biological clock, in order for them to make sure that their dreams, those two dreams, come to fruition, it requires them to be brutally honest with themselves. Now, what this means is that if they're on a date, honest with themselves about, do I actually think this person's a prospect? Or am I choosing to be with them because they boost my self-esteem, or because um, they're the best that I think I can get? So oftentimes in dating is tricky because we're stuck in all of our old narratives that our parents, like we're going off of the rule book of our parents, like the guidebook of our parents, which, best case scenario is like this. So women need to be as honest with themselves as possible. That's the answer there.
Yeah, I agree. Women need to be as honest as possible when they're out there in the dating world. And I also agree that if their biological clocks are ticking, which they know they are, that they should be dating and meeting as many men as their social calendar can hold. For example, I like to say, you know what, just date three guys at once. I'm not telling them to sleep with three guys at once. I'm saying you need to compare, you need to contrast, you need to figure out who you like that treats you the way that makes you feel good. You need to figure out if this person is cheap or if he's generous. You need to figure out if you have compatibility with this person, that you have the same interests, that you could potentially live 20, 30, 40, 50 years together. And I just feel like they need to have options and not to put all their eggs in one basket, but rather date intentionally with a plan and be like, okay, I'm 30 years old. I want to have kids. So this is what I need to do. This is my plan. And everybody around them needs to know what their plan is. And for her to be honest, and as she's dating, she can say, until I'm in an exclusive relationship with you, I don't want to sleep with you. Or until we're in an exclusive relationship, I don't want to take my profile down. So it's like just dating, but yet being very truthful with what you are and what you want. And don't beat around the bush. If a guy's like, I don't think I want to have kids. Okay, next. Like, you want
Yes.
kids. Don't try to convince him that you think he's going to change his mind because you're so amazing. Like, that doesn't happen. Like, men rarely change their minds about things like that. So, okay, good, good. Did you have anything to add to that, or?
No,
Okay.
I think I love what you just added.
Okay. So let's talk about strategies that some women, we'll talk about women for now, that can stand out when they're doing online dating. Like, what are some other dating hacks that you can suggest that women do to stand out from the crowd? Because you know what? There are so many amazing single women out there. But if you were to go online and date today, what do you think you can do differently to have you stand out?
The best thing that women can do is invest in great photos.
I agree.
Invest in like great candid photos. Okay? So there's nuance to this answer. So men are visual creatures and they're swiping on what they see. Whether we like it or not, they're swiping on what they see. So the deeper answer to this question really is, if you don't consider yourself an attractive person, right? Because there's like, you know, I don't know what percentage of humanity are actually models who look phenomenal in all pictures, like a very small percentage. So if you don't consider yourself an attractive person, then you actually have to make yourself an attractive person. Now, here's what I mean about this: exercise, dealing with your demons, dressing well, taking care of yourself, being engaged in something in your life that brings you joy, being up to things. All of that is what makes somebody attractive. And when you do those things, that shines through in photos, especially when you invest in a great photographer who's able to capture all of that in you. Right? So you really can make yourself an attractive person, even if you don't consider yourself conventionally beautiful, conventionally this, conventionally that. And it comes down to dealing with it. It forces you to deal with your life. Right?
Okay.
Like,
But that's easy for you to say because someone can just hop onto this YouTube video and see that, hey, Sally's an attractive person. So that's easy for you to say, someone who's attractive, saying you can be attractive by doing this, this, and this. But have you guided any clients that were maybe a 5 or a 6 and you help them create a better version of themselves and then they can take photos and now they're like an 8 or a 9?
yes.
Okay.
I've helped clients lose 50 pounds. That losing 50 pounds changes somebody, not only because the weight is coming off of them, but because what they have to do spiritually to overcome losing those 50 pounds, to overcome the reason that they were keeping that weight on, is the hero's journey. They had to walk the hero's journey to get there, to lose those 50 pounds. They had to find that sparkle in their eye and hold onto it for God's will and make it happen. They had to be up to something, right?
So you're saying that their confidence, right,
Yes.
increased and their self-esteem increased and they felt like, gosh, I can actually do anything I want now. And they're lucky that they're a woman, right? Because they could just go to the Nordstrom makeup counter and get some makeup done or get a makeover.
Yes.
And I just feel like women, we do have a huge advantage. You know, if we, like you said, weren't born attractive or whatever circumstances made us gain weight or we dress not very nice because of our finances or whatever, there are ways to look better, like little things that we could do, right? We could rent clothes and then have a fabulous photo session or go to a makeup counter and have them do our face and learn from YouTube videos or learn from the person who's giving us a makeover. Like there are things that you can do to make yourself more attractive. If you, I always say this, like if you're doing online dating and you don't like the men who are hitting on you online, you find that, you know what, these aren't the type of guys that I want to attract, then you got to do something about yourself to attract the kind of guys that you do want to attract. Like there is room for improvement, I guess, at any stage of your dating life or any stage of where you're at. So, yeah.
Yeah. In dating, you attract your equal. It's what you just said, May. And dating really is the ultimate mirror of who we want, who we are being in our life, and then who we want to evolve ourselves to be. So another great example is, let's say you're gorgeous and you have phenomenal photos, but you're attracting people who are like shady liars, who embezzle, who, you know, who blow you off. You actually need to look at yourself and see, where am I being shady in my own life? Now, not necessarily like embezzling and stealing, but like, where am I being, where am I saying that I'm going to do something that I'm not? Where am I making promises to myself that I'm not keeping? Right? So making yourself more attractive involves dealing with your demons. It involves healing your traumas. All of that comes out energetically, and human beings are smart and they can pick up on that stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree.
Yeah.
I
And
agree.
again, that's what all comes out in your candid photos. So when you've dealt with your demons, when you've dealt with your health, when you've dealt with your struggle for taking care of yourself. When you're engaged in something that brings you passion, that shines through, that makes you attractive.
So that's the women that can do those things to help themselves with their online dating and to stand out from the crowd. What are some things that men can do that can help them with their dating journey?
Okay, well, first let's copy and paste my answer for women over to men. Just copy and paste it. We don't have to say it again, but like men, this goes out to you too. But then the thing with men is men date and chat on the sites like they're at a job interview. How are you today? What did you do today? Like it sounds like a job interview. Men actually need to learn how to flirt and banter versus answer the interview questions, right? And the reason this is important is because what sparks a woman's attraction, and PS, through these initial chats, you're looking to spark a woman's attraction, right? So, what sparks a woman's attraction is intrigue, entertainment, excitement, mystery, novelty. So, men need to learn how to provoke this in women. And it's a skill. Oh my God, it's a skill. It's like if you wanted to learn how to play soccer, you'd have to learn the skills to play soccer, right? Learning how to flirt and banter is a total skill. It's a total skill. I mean, there are like pickup artists who've mastered this skill. There are attraction artists who have mastered this skill. Now, I'm not saying go and be a slippery, slimy, shady person who like is manipulating women. What I'm saying is learn how to have fun and flirt and banter, because that is what is going to allow you to come off of the app and into real life.
So, how would a guy who's listening to this podcast or watching our YouTube video start to learn how to flirt and banter? Like, should they just go out on as many dates as possible to get the dating experience and to try out funny lines on a woman? Like, how do they learn how to flirt? Is flirting, for them to change the mindset of flirting, is just to go out and flirt? And what I mean by that is go out and talk to women and be playful with them without worrying about what the outcome is. Like, you're not trying to go out there to pick up on them, but just go out there and enjoy the conversation at a grocery store and see if you can make her smile. That counts as flirting. Like, how should I advise a man to go out and get better at flirting?
Well, you just hit upon something really important, which is not being attached to the outcome, right? Like so often when we flirt, we're attached to the outcome of wanting to hook that fish, wanting to catch that fish. And because we're attached to that outcome, then we start to get weird and micromanage all of our actions, right? So step one is not be attached to the outcome. Now, how do you do that? You actually have to have self-confidence. You actually have to believe that you're going to attract more people. How do you have self-confidence? You have to deal with yourself, right? Again, you have to like exercise, deal with your demons, have great self-care. Like you have to deal with yourself. That's the bigger answer. And then the second thing is operate from a place of confidence and just say what you think is funny. Say what you think is funny, right? Like you see this all the time in older couples. Older couples are like two little nerds who have loved each other for 50 years because they're nerdy about the same thing. Right? My husband and I are nerdy about the same weird little silly things that we think are funny. Like we think farts are hilarious. Not everybody does. Right? In fact, like some of my friends think we're like weird and disgusting and juvenile. We think farts are funny. Right? Now I'm not saying like go talk about a fart on a dating app. But my point is find what like be confident enough to lead with what you think is funny, what you think is amusing. Because when you allow yourself to be amused, you're going to be amusing to someone else. And if you're not amusing to that person, well, then they're actually not your person. And thank God you figured that out early, than having to go on a date, invest time, like having to go on a date with them.
I know that 20 years ago or 25 years ago, I was not funny. I didn't have a funny sense of humor. I was very serious. I was working in a corporate job and people always thought I was pretty icy, pretty just serious, just not really playful or anything like that. And I don't think I got to be funny or allowed myself to be funny or playful until I started watching comedians perform and talk about stories. And then I would pick up on, oh, that is funny. And then how I can incorporate that into my personal life. But I really think the key to being funny is to watch comedians, watch sitcoms, and see where your personality takes you, right? Like you kind of adapt to certain people and you like certain people and you start finding them on Facebook, watch all the videos and things like that. So I guess that is kind of a way for you to be confident in your sense of humor. And that can lead to flirting with a woman where she does a certain thing and you just say it, like you said, just say what's funny to you because she probably thought the same thing, that it's funny, but she didn't voice it out loud. So I guess it all comes down to being yourself, right? Like it's everything. Like all we talk about is best thing to do is communication. The best thing to do is be yourself. The best thing to do is just relax and have fun and just go with it. So yeah, yeah, that's a good thing what you said. Like the whole flirting thing is men need to learn how to flirt, banter, just be in the moment, not so focused on being proper or professional, because it's a date, right? It's not an interview.
No, and I love, May, what you said about studying comedians. So that's an example of how you learned the skill. Like you took it on as learning a serious skill, just as if you were going to learn a new language, a new sport, a new something. So learning how to flirt is an actual skill. And you can do it the way that you did it. There are services online. If you Google like learn how to flirt, there are plenty of coaches and services who offer those things. So for men, I think we can both agree to take it seriously, to actually learn the skill of flirting and bantering. And if you don't want to waste time, do like study. Don't just go out and go on a date and see if you can make her laugh and try again and try again, because that's going to take ages. Actually go out and study.
Yeah. And I also think for men, if they're going out on dates and they have maybe like 2 or 3 funny stories in their pocket that they can tell a story, have it be kind of funny, the women would appreciate it and they laugh together. And anyway, yeah, well, well, Sally, thank you so much for your time today. I had a lot of fun talking about dating, flirting, all that stuff, of course. Tell the audience how they can find you. Of course, I will have all this in the show notes, but just briefly, any last minute dating advice or last minute words for the audience before I let you go?
Yes. If you're the kind of person who gets what you need from this conversation, that's phenomenal and I applaud you, and go ye forth, find love and change the world. And if you're the kind of person that feels inspired and compelled to work with me, I would love to meet you, and we can set up a 30-minute consultation to discuss your needs and see if we're a good fit to work together, either with myself or with my husband. And you can apply to coach with us at our website, which is max-wellcoaching.com. That's max-wellcoaching.com.
Okay. I will enter all that in the show notes. And the audience out there, ladies, if you're single, I would love for you to be part of my database. Please go to 2asianmatchmakers.com. And men, if you're looking for a lovely Asian woman out there, I would love to help you find her. Please contact me. And everybody else, thank you so much. And I will see you guys on the next episode. Bye. Bye, Sally.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.